Hey there, everybody. We've got a real doozy for you today. A strange, mysterious, almost mythological sounding story from the Himalayas that's getting a lot of attention online and elsewhere. A group of explorers in the remote Siwalik Range near the city of Kathmandu, Nepal, has allegedly uncovered a fossilized skeleton unlike any previously documented in the region. According to reports, the mysterious 70-million-year-old specimen bears strikingly bird-like wings and has been dubbed the falcon-winged dinosaur, reportedly encased in sedimentary layers believed to have originated from the ancient Tethys Sea. The skeleton appears almost mythological in nature, evoking more questions than answers. So today we're going to dive into this very curious discovery and try to figure out what exactly we're dealing with here. Is this the skeleton of an unknown avian dinosaur from the late Cretaceous period? Does it hold clues to the many myths and legends rooted in the ancient Himalayan landscape? Stories of flying serpents and sky spirits and divine messengers? Or is this yet another case of misidentified remains, exaggerated by sensational reporting or outright fabrication? Now, let's start with a bit of regional context. For those unfamiliar with the area's deep time history, Nepal, especially in the shadow of the towering Himalayas, might seem an unlikely site for such an extraordinary fossil. But the landscape is far more complex than it first appears. As a general rule, fossils in the Himalayas are incredibly rare and often misrepresented in the media. The country's rugged terrain, dramatic elevation changes, and relatively underexplored fossil beds contribute to both the difficulty of scientific investigation and the proliferation of unverified claims. To understand why, we need to look at the geology of the region. The Himalayas are young by geological standards. That is to say, they haven't been around long enough for significant erosion to occur, nor have they been subjected to the slow, steady forces of plate tectonics that have shaped older mountain ranges. The result is a landscape that is both stunning in its grandeur and challenging in its inaccessibility. The Himalayas formed due to the ongoing collision between the Indian and Eurasian plates, and this process, which began approximately 50 to 60 million years ago, continues to this day. The range continues to rise at a rate of roughly 4 to 5 millimeters per year, and because the Himalayas are still so tectonically active, their slopes are often unstable and dangerous. This instability makes traditional paleontological fieldwork, which often involves carefully surveying exposed rock strata, nearly impossible. On top of this, much of the potentially fossil-rich sediment has been eroded away and carried downstream into lowland areas. This leaves the remaining sections of exposed rock, often found in steep ravines and isolated pockets, as the primary sites for fossil discovery. These areas are not only hard to reach, but also subject to factors like landslides, making them inhospitable to scientific investigation. Moreover, the climate of the region, characterized by heavy rainfall and a monsoon season, further complicates matters. The humidity and moisture contribute to the rapid weathering of exposed rock, hindering the preservation of fossils. Even if fossils do form in the region, they are often quickly degraded, making discovery unlikely. Finally, the remoteness of the Himalayas adds another layer of difficulty. Many of the areas where fossils might be found are in remote, isolated communities with limited access to scientific resources and expertise. This lack of infrastructure makes it difficult to properly excavate, preserve, and study any potential discoveries. As if these natural challenges weren't enough, there's also a human factor. Due to the region's poverty and limited development, fossil collecting in Nepal is largely unregulated. This has led to several issues, including illegal collecting, poor excavation techniques, and the sale of fossils to private collectors, often outside of the country. This not only deprives Nepal of its own heritage, but also makes it difficult for scientists to study important specimens. So given all these difficulties, it's no wonder that fossil discoveries in Nepal are so rare and controversial. The combination of harsh terrain, rapid erosion, limited infrastructure, and illegal collecting creates a perfect storm that hinders scientific progress. Now, most of the fossils found in Nepal are marine organisms, things like ammonites, those spiral-shelled cephalopods that thrived in the shallow waters of the Tethys Sea before the Indian plate began its slow-motion collision with the Eurasian plate. You see, the Himalayan range, as we mentioned earlier, is relatively young. Much of the area was once covered by the Tethys Ocean. As the ocean floor began to subduct beneath the Eurasian plate, it gave rise to the Himalayas. So the vast majority of fossils found in the region predate the uplift of the Himalayas and come from marine, not terrestrial, environments. Ammonites and other invertebrates are commonly discovered, particularly in riverbeds and exposed strata. But terrestrial vertebrate fossils, especially those of dinosaurs, are exceedingly rare and often misattributed. Now, the most well-known example of a dinosaur-related fossil from Nepal is the Himalasaurus tibetensis, which was discovered in the Upper Mustang region. But we should mention here that Himalasaurus isn't actually a dinosaur. It's a marine reptile. Specifically, it's a type of plesiosaur, an aquatic reptile with a long neck and flippers that lived during the Mesozoic era. Think of it as something akin to the Loch Ness Monster, except it's real, and it lived in the oceans, not freshwater lakes. Plesiosaurs were well adapted for life in the water and showed little adaptation for life on land. So while they might share a name with the Himalayas, they are not actually dinosaurs, and they don't really tell us anything about the terrestrial ecosystems of the time. In fact, they are more closely related to marine reptiles like turtles and crocodiles than they are to dinosaurs. In 2017, headlines briefly lit up with claims of a Triceratops fossil found in a Himalayan valley. The story gained viral traction across social media before being quickly debunked. Geologists and paleontologists pointed out that Triceratops lived in North America during the late Cretaceous period and that the Himalayan region, which didn't exist in its current form until tens of millions of years after Triceratops went extinct, couldn't possibly house such a specimen. This episode served as a warning about how easily misinformation about fossils can spread, especially when scientific literacy is low and the allure of a dramatic discovery is high. Unfortunately, this history of misidentification and hoaxes casts a long shadow over any new claim coming from the region. So bringing it all together, we hope you can appreciate why we're approaching this 70-million-year-old falcon wing find with a healthy dose of skepticism. To be clear, we're not saying that a fossil wasn't found or that it doesn't exist somewhere. We're simply highlighting the lack of verified evidence and the serious questions regarding its age, identification, and location. If the report is to be considered seriously, one plausible explanation aside from hoax or misinterpretation is that the fossil could belong to a species of pterosaur, specifically from the family Ctenacosmatidae. Pterosaurs were flying reptiles that lived alongside dinosaurs, but were not dinosaurs. They often had elongated jaws filled with needle-like teeth and, depending on the species, could grow to enormous wingspans. Ctenacosmatids are known from various Cretaceous formations around the world, including in parts of Asia. These creatures had long, slender wings that might be visually interpreted as bird-like, especially by non-specialists or amateur fossil hunters. However, to accurately identify a pterosaur fossil requires careful analysis, ideally under the lens of comparative anatomy, radiometric dating, and sedimentology, all of which are missing from the reports surrounding the Kathmandu find. Moreover, even if it were a pterosaur, the geological context remains problematic. Most pterosaur fossils are found in sedimentary formations associated with ancient coastlines, lagoons, and inland seas, environments that allow for rapid burial and fossilization. Given that much of the Himalayas were seabeds during the Mesozoic era, it's theoretically possible that marine or coastal species were preserved in these areas before the uplift. Still, the specific conditions for fossil preservation and discovery are rare, and the logistics of finding a well-preserved flying reptile in an exposed Himalayan crevice would be remarkable, if not suspicious. We should also consider the possibility that the discovery is being withheld for reasons unknown, such as private ownership or political sensitivity. In the world of paleontology, a discovery of this magnitude would generate substantial interest not just in Nepal, but internationally. Fossils of previously unknown dinosaur species are rare. Those with avian adaptations or unusual preservation attract global scrutiny. The silence from the scientific community is therefore telling. It suggests either the discovery is being withheld for reasons unknown, such as private ownership or political sensitivity, or more likely, that it never happened in the first place. Perhaps the most compelling aspect of the story is the complete lack of photographic evidence. We live in an age of ubiquitous photography. It seems highly unlikely that a discovery of this magnitude would have been made without at least some visual documentation. The absence of photographs, coupled with the lack of academic commentary or follow-up, only serves to underscore the fantastical nature of the claim. If a fossil of this importance truly existed, it would be a treasure trove of information for paleontologists, offering insights into the evolution of flight, the history of the Himalayas, and the ancient ecosystems of the region. Its discovery would be a monumental event, reshaping our understanding of prehistoric life and the geological history of Nepal. Unfortunately, until concrete evidence emerges, the idea of a falcon-winged dinosaur haunting the cliffs near Kathmandu remains just that, an idea. It's a tantalizing possibility, a glimpse into a prehistoric past where giant winged creatures soared through the skies. But without verifiable evidence, we must remain grounded in reality, acknowledging the incredible natural and human history of the Himalayas, while remaining cautious of sensational claims. The cliffs hold their secrets close, and the truth of the falcon-winged dinosaur may forever remain elusive. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating paleontological content.